This is kind of like my first exposure to a full trial. And so from my perspective looking in, it's hard to know what like the rules are of a trial. But yeah, he's always so just like chill. And then when they were arguing back, he's like, I'm gonna let y'all argue this. I'm gonna go take a break. I'll be right back.
Put that in writing. Let me know what you think.
Yeah. And then he came back and he was like, all right, this is what it is. So I don't have anything to compare him to, but I think he's great. And then as far as our two sides, our state and our defense, can you explain why there are multiple people doing the question? Is that normal for a trial where like different attorneys handle different aspects of?
Well, normally you have one or two attorneys on each side, right? That's the thing about Amy Zimmercheck that I think is just, it blows my mind.
She does it all by herself.
She, like, normally, like, I mean, when we try a case, you've done it by yourself too. God bless y'all. I couldn't imagine. Like, I have a paralegal making sure like all my little stuff's gotten into evidence, listening for all the words to make sure we're good. You know, we've got multiple attorneys on each side, but like, or at least two attorneys on each side. And that's normally what you have, like two attorneys on each side, and you kind of split up the work just because it's overwhelming, especially like in a murder case because there's so much evidence and stuff. But I think we've seen, John Meters, which they hired just to help in this case, brought him back to the AG's office. We've got, I mean, I haven't seen Alan Wilson do anything, but he's over there. They said that he's the one who's making a lot of the decisions, which we've never seen him do any of that before because he doesn't normally try cases. He's more of a manager of attorneys, but he's running for office, so we're going to see his big old head sitting there. But we're seeing a lot of attorneys on each side,
right?
Because it's just a mass amount of. And we've got some new attorneys, so they're letting them get their feet wet too.
Right. A criminal trial, so it's been long, right? And so in civil trials, we get to take depositions first. We kind of know what everybody's going to say. So they've already given a statement under the oath, so you're prepared. When you go into a criminal trial, especially one that's going to be this long,
trial by fire.
With this magnitude, you're going to sort of assign people each witness because it's going to be impossible for one person.
Yeah, to do all
to be prepared
to be fully prepped for every person. It's hard.
For everything. Yeah, so it definitely takes a lot of people.
What about all these objections that are back and forth? Is it normal to have that amount of objections?
Yeah.
Yes.
Actually, I think that they've missed a lot of really huge, big opportunities on the defense side to object. And I'm like, oh my God. Like, if I were there, I'd be like kicking everybody under the table, like, objection, no. Like, because there's a lot of stuff that no one objected to that I thought was just crazy.
You know, but one of the hard things, though, when you're in trial, especially when it starts getting long, is you kind of get browbeaten. And you get tired, but you can't ever get tired.
Somebody's life's on the line.
Yeah, and so when I've been in trial and you get tired, that's when you have the person that's next to you to say,
kicking you under the table.
Because so the point of objection is, even if you think you know how the judge is going to rule, if he were to be convicted and he wants to appeal this later, if you don't object to what you didn't think should come in or to the error, then you can't bring it up later to get the conviction overturned. So you've got to preserve the record.
You got to preserve it. Yeah.
And so if you get tired, like Sade said, and you just let things go, well then Alec can't bring any of these things up later because you didn't preserve them in the record. And so you really have to be, the defense, at least at a minimum, more so than the prosecution, has to be objecting to everything, even if they think it might be something. And even if they know that Judge Newman's going to say, sit down, no, you still have to do it.
Yeah.
I think what's interesting, off topic, Chris Wilson and the opioid addiction.
This opioid addiction is bullshit.
I know, but it's like, they all say they're so shocked. I don't think he has an opioid addiction. I'll say that right
I
now.
don't either.
But I'm excited for the financial crimes trial for real, because where did all that money go? Like, money, unless he's like washing
just disappear.
is traceable,
Yeah.
right? Unless he's like some Breaking Bad, even then you could figure it out.
Ozark shit.
But
the Ozark, that's what Patrick
and
McGowan
all these
calls
people
it.
are so surprised that nobody even knew, because he was being a lawyer still, being a dad.
Trying cases.
I mean, I think everyone knows someone who's been addicted to opioids at this point. Like, we're all an arm's length away from that, and it's like, it doesn't go unnoticed for 20 years.
No.
And you're not this high functioning person when you're addicted to opiates for 20
especially
years.
not opioids.
No.
And where he stole so much
Millions.
money. So where did he spend it? That is so traceable. And so I'm just like, I'm ready for this. The murder investigation, in my opinion, botched from the beginning. So I don't feel like I could ever convict him based on this evidence. Do I know if he did it or not? I don't know. But the financial stuff is like, I think the answers to the murder are in that investigation.
Oh, I do too. I've always said I think that there is something way bigger at play here. My mom and I were talking yesterday, and my dad, because now they're all in at this point. And I've always felt like Alec is tied up in something bigger. I have a feeling it's drugs, right?
Yeah, opioids might be involved.
Right, absolutely. He just wasn't popping them, right? He wasn't shooting them up or popping them in his mouth. But like when I think about this, what I see, I just think that there's too many things that don't add up, but they add up. And so we see guy gets Moselle, right? And Moselle, and he is tied to the guy who did federal prison for the bull bear guy.
Yeah.
He's tied to him and gets part of Moselle, I think, the acreage for like $1 or $5 or something in court of the deeds. And so he's tied to the bull bear guy who's done prison time, right? We know that the kennels were once, there is an airplane hangar somewhere on property. I don't know if the kennel used to be one or whatever. They keep calling it the hangar, right? The airplane hangar. They refer to this in the trial. And it had a landing strip at one point, right? But the guy didn't have an airplane, which is weird, right? Isn't that weird? Yeah. He owns these tiny islands. And I don't know if it's him or his family, but they came up, these little islands that he owns. One of them he donated to the sheriff's department. He's a special prosecutor, and in all of his years of being a special prosecutor, that is, just in badge and namesake alone, really, he has gotten himself involved in only 2 cases. And according to the things that I've seen online and the public index and stuff, he inserts himself into 2 cases, and they were drug trafficking cases. And he makes an offer for them not to have to do a mandatory 25 years like everybody else in the state. And when that prosecutor gets upset, like, why is he inserting himself into these cases? He's told to stand down by his boss, Duffy, right? And those 2 defendants were in a known gang called the Cowboys. And we know, according to some documents and Amy Zimmercheck's motions, is that Alec Murdaugh happened to have a group chat, and the name of that group chat is Tombstone, right? And she wants to know who was a part of that Tombstone group chat. And what do we know about Tombstone the movie? Tombstone the movie is a movie about cowboys. I mean, I think this is all just like it's a little bit too ironic that all these things are tied together.
Yeah, that the financial crimes investigation is more thorough.
Yeah.
Than
no,
the
I don't think it will be. And I think that he will
play
play guilty, right? I think he'll play guilty too.
Yeah, I just think that, there's a lot of stuff.
So there won't be an investigation into all that.
You're not addicted to drugs like that for 20 years, and the only you spent millions of dollars on opiates, then you're dead. You have millions of dollars and you're addicted to those kinds of drugs. You're not living for 20 years.
No.
And so where did it all go?
You die of a fentanyl overdose is what happens in these cases.
We know, not related to that trial, but as far as the financial stuff, do we know anything about when that trial will start?
I don't think I don't anticipate there being a trial. I think he'll plead guilty to it. And he's looking at like 99 years for that, right? Do I think he would get 99 years for a bunch of white collar stuff? No, I don't. But
he might get off the murder and take his chances.
Do you blame him? I mean, that's what I would do too. But I mean, I think what we want to hear from Alex, right? And I think
I don't know that I need to hear.
If he is really,
will he be taking the
I think we want to hear from him.
I want him to.
I want
to make the story make sense, but I also, at this point, don't believe anything that he says.
Right. True.
Well,
that's true.
Everybody keeps talking about how he's this narcissistic, like, charismatic guy who is all in it for himself and wants to snow everybody. Well, bring on the show, right?
When life